Hello, Mark. God, that does give you a bit of energy, that intro, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Good evening and welcome everyone to this very special edition of Diggers and Dozers Live, brought to you in conjunction this time with the Construction Collective and the construction equipment giant JCB. Speaking of JCB, just a few short hours ago, they announced a staggering 45 products that are either totally new or have benefited from significant new upgrades. And to help me pick my way through all of that is my co-host, and I can never remember whether you're to my left or to my right, but it's Peter Haddock. Peter, there was a lot to take in, but I mean, ultimately, this is a continuation of JCB's road to zero emissions again, wasn't it?
You know what? What's really interesting about this launch, Mark, is actually we've got a lot more insight from the vast range of JCB products there are out there, because the last few launches we've seen the Pothole Pro, we've seen electrics coming through, and therefore we've concentrated on not necessarily niche products, but we concentrated on set areas. But today was a real opportunity to talk about things in a wider context. And I think the real context, as we know, and I'm still looking forward to it, Mark, is when we actually can get to see the actual hydrogen prototype that JCB's developed in real world applications. It's going to be great. But we all know that it's just so important to make the right steps towards this sort of zero carbon. And we always say it's a road to zero carbon. God, the construction equipment makes the roads as well. And in the Pothole Pro case, it repairs the roads. But, you know, it's really important for me to look at JCB and step back and go, actually, this is a very big company with big ambitions, but with a big range of products. You forget how many there are. And I think really for me, you know, when we're going to talk today with the specialists, there's a big story around the little, I call them the 1%, Mark, the 1% that add in here and there. But also we talk about road to zero. The only people that are going to get us on the road to zero are actually the operators. So it's really important tonight for me to talk about the benefits to the operators that JCB has made in the new equipment range, not just you know, those changes to sort of engines and technology like that.
Absolutely right. Now, let's crack on. The launch, as you're about to hear, involved a new teletruck, new loaders, new generators, new X-series excavators, and as we'll be seeing later on, new backhoe loaders and new compact excavators. But almost all of these new machines have a common theme, and that is the fact that they are all powered by Stage 5 compliant diesel engines. Now, despite being at the very forefront of electric machine development, JCB has made it clear that it expects diesel engines to remain the industry's fuel of choice for at least the next decade. And with that in mind, the company's been working behind the scenes to make those diesel engines cleaner than ever before. Both the 430 Diesel Max and the 448 Diesel Max are now Stage 5 compliant. And it's that Stage 5 compliance that's really at the heart of the machines we're about to look at. That basically was the thing that drove the whole thing, Peter, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think that is. And I think, you know, what we never really focus that much on what's inside a machine. We can all see what's outside a machine. We can all actually look at it in operation. But really it is inside that counts. You know, when we're looking at Stage 5, you know, it's these tiny changes that we make. And what I really like about all of the engine stuff as well is actually what we've got to look at. If we're going to be more productive, if we're going to be more efficient, we actually have to be better at making engines that can be that productive tool within the machine, but also that can be repaired and looked after effectively. And can we cut out maintenance issues? Can we cut out wear parts? Can we make these things far more robust? And I think, you know, JCB talking about some of those engines and what they've done there is a big yes. And can we still squeeze out the efficiencies? Yes, again, you know, we've talked different sort of figures we talked about. Well, one that struck me was about 7% for one of the products, you know. But the real big issue right now, you know, we talk about engines, you know, is fuel. And I talk, as you know, a lot about fuel. And tomorrow I'm actually going to be releasing another podcast in my series. And this time it is actually about HVO green biofuels with their CEO, William Tebbit, who's talking about, the emissions, but also we're talking about the big issue that everybody is going to have a problem with, Mark, and that is red diesel, and what the government is doing with the rebates on red diesel, April 2022, not that far away. And that means that all of a sudden we put it into perspective. I went onto a site recently, and they were looking at handling waste and doing things like that. And they were saying, well, actually, you know, it's 50 pence a ton will be added just from the fuel perspective overnight. Well, it might not sound a lot of money, but you add that into the fact that these sites are doing tens of thousands of tons virtually every week. And all of a sudden it becomes a cost that you've got to add into your business. There's no way of doing it. So unless we have all of these more efficient diesel engines, and unless we do something about it, you know, this whole red diesel thing is going to come and literally blow up in the industry's face, which is going to be terrible for profitability, and it also is going to be terrible in general for the way the industry has costed things over a period of time.
We will come to HVO and all that good stuff in a second, but I'm delighted to say that we've got three, not one, not two, but three JCB. We've now got two, actually. One of them's just vanished, waiting in the green room. I got ahead of myself there. These guys have very kindly given up their evening to join us tonight, and they're here to answer your questions and hopefully ours too. So please make maximum use of their expertise. Just post your questions in the comment section below, and we'll do our best to answer as many as we can. Now, while we're getting that missing member of the JCB team back in, and while the other two are getting their makeup done, let's have a look, first of all, at the new Backhoe loaders. Good evening, gentlemen, or good evening, two gentlemen and one blank screen. We'll get that one sorted out in a second. I'm going to take him off because that looks a bit distracting. Good evening, gentlemen, and thanks for joining us. We can see your names across the bottom of the screen, but it's an ideal opportunity for you to introduce yourself. So, Julian, start with you. Who are you and what do you do?
Okay, so Julian Carter. I'm the Global Product Manager for Backhoe Loaders and Site Dumpers. Been doing a job now for 17 years at JCB.
And Paul.
Hi, Mark. Hi, Peter, and hi, everyone. Yeah, I'm Paul Murray. So I'm product director for Backhoe Loaders and Hydro Dig and Dumpers as well. So really pleased to be here today on this exciting day for us.
I'm sure it is. Now, it is just a few short months since JCB celebrated the manufacture or the production of its 750,000th Backhoe. But you're certainly not resting on your laurels, you guys, are you? In fact, you've gone pro with not one, not two, but three new backhoe loader models. Paul, let's start with you. What denotes a backhoe loader as a pro machine?
Good question. When we've launched the new range, and we looked at two things, really what the operators of the future want, and how can we package up a machine that has all the attributes and all the value that customers really need, and that's where we came up with the Pro. So the Pro machine has, if you like, or if you're a contractor who's on all the different types of sites, in and out of cities, on the road, the Pro is the right machine for you. It's got the best in driveline, it's got the most power, it's got the smoothest hydraulics, it's got all of the features inside the cab, including comfort. It is the absolute top, the best backer that we've ever built.
And I think with that, Paul, you can see that when you're looking at that product, you've actually got a lot of detail there that's based around the people that are actually going to own and operate that machine, because I'm really seeing that the Pro features, the extra power, the capabilities, and as we saw in the film there, the extra elements that those machines can do, and attachments as well. Tell me a little bit about, the reason why the Pro machine is going to be something that people can really utilize at all sorts of different levels.
Yeah, well, certainly, we've got a lot of history in backhoes, and backhoes are, in every country around the world, and the demand for backhoes continues to grow. You say, last year we built our 750,000. So we thankfully know quite a lot about backhoes, or excavator loaders, as we refer to them. We know what people want to do with the excavator. We know what people want to do with a loader, and we know how mobile the machines need to be. So really, when we started looking at the Pro, we said, well, what can we do? We've got a great excavator, smooth. What attachments can we fit to it? What do we need to power to it? And how can we enhance that with the controls? On the front end, what can we do with the front end, with the different attachments to make that? But also in the Pro, how can we design the next generation of engines and powertrain, new gearbox, new axles that really drive this machine forward in terms of its comfort, efficiency, roading, fuel usage? In the openers, you made an important point there about, moving dirt, power, but also efficiency. And part of our innovation, what we've challenged the engineers to do, is actually come up with machines that can do both. You get more power, we're better for the environment, but you're burning less fuel at the same time. And we've achieved that with the Pro. And I think it's very difficult for us to articulate in statistics and stuff how the machines operate, but in the next few weeks, as we get bombs on seat, I think people will really be blown away, big smiles on faces, about how this new range of machines performs.
Yeah, Paul, I think what I really picked up on, Paul, is the fact that you've got the sort of automation options. So there's two-wheel drive, there's four-wheel drive, there's auto drive, there's auto stop, there's this kind of almost like second person in the cab, because for me, a lot of the technology that people are bringing into the industry, for me, it's got to be all about helping the operator concentrate on the job at hand. So these automation features, they really are going to be that automatic, instantaneous, I expect it to happen, aren't they?
Absolutely. And we talk about the backhoes as site masters, but the site master is not just about the backhoes, about the operator inside.
Yeah.
And it's those operators that absolutely know where they want to be, where they want to plant their bucket, etc. And how, when we put those automation features in, how can we make that site master, the operator of that machine, make that machine sing and dance even better? And Julian can take us through those different automation features we put in and why, but they're all to help those site masters get that job done faster and better.
I like that, Mark. I like the fact that JCB are calling the site master the machine, but actually it is the operator, it is the site master in the machine, isn't it, Mark? That's really important, isn't it?
I've got to say, I was quite pleased to see the site master name given prominence again. So that's a bit of a blast from the past, but it's a good name to work with. So we've mentioned you, Julian. I'm going to bring you in. I do think we've got a bit of echo on your line, so I'm not entirely sure quite why. But a couple of things. We want to touch on the automation side of things, but also the last time I saw you, I actually got to sit in the 750,000th machine, and that Command Cab Plus. I mean, it's better equipped and better appointed than the office I'm sat in at the moment. Why is the cab so important to the backhoe loader market?
Paul's talking about the operator and having a comfortable operator. It makes a more productive operator. We've always said that. We've always invested a lot of money making our cabs the best, the most comfortable, the quietest, and of course the easiest to use. We've been on a roadmap of ease of use for a number of years and introducing automation features. So it doesn't de-skill the operator necessarily, because most of those operations and automation features you can turn off if you want to, but they are there, like on cars. They do things, make things easier for the operator. And the auto stabilizers being one of them. The machine now, with a touch of a button, the stabilizer legs will deploy onto the ground. And if you're on uneven ground, as soon as it touches the floor, it'll actually level the machine up automatically for you, which was the first that's been done on a backhoe loader.
That's really important. I think. Oh, hello. A bit of echo from Julian. That's really important, Julian, because for me, what this range is all about is also how you're keeping people safe. So there's a number of safety features that I want to come on to, but realistically, that kind of automated leveling system really does mean that people can feel a bit more safer in there. Yes, we know with a pro, you're talking about potential pro users, but look, the backhoe loader is something that people can jump in on site if they've got the tickets, of course, and can move around. And so those features being automated and set up are important. But talk to me a little bit as well, please, if you don't mind, about how the what I call the eco road system that you said there, the sort of, you've seen that. I mean, look, yeah, that JCB there was passing Teslas on the road there. The speed that was doing in that thing, I was like, what? You can't, you was behind a backhoe loader, waiting on a country lane, going, oh my goodness, can this thing drive any faster? But that seems to be a fast machine, doesn't it?
Part of what an excavator loader does is drive. It's the key feature versus any other type of machine. It can drive to and from sites. So the less time you can spend traveling on the road, the better it is for the customer. He's going to earn more money. But it's not about necessarily the speed at which it goes. It's more about the efficiency from the Eco Road transmission. So we've introduced with our 6-speed auto shift Eco Road transmission. It's got a wider gear spread. And by doing so, not only is it obviously smoother gear change, it reduces the engine speed, and that's the key part. It reduces the engine speed, and therefore will save you up to 15% on fuel. So when you're traveling to and from sites, saving fuel is key, as you outlined at the start of this presentation. Moving from red to white diesel, that's to be even more important to save the operating cost of the machine.
It does bring. I think it brings it back. Sorry to interrupt, Paul. I think it brings it back to the heart of what the backhoe loader always was, which was a run from one place to the next, do all the work and run on, isn't it? Paul, you wanted to come in there.
Absolutely. Just building on what you just said there, Peter. The fantastic thing that the backhoe offers is that ability to cover multiple sites. You can relocate from one, so your asset is better. You can do more things on site. You can move around site quick. The eco road element of it is really not just a stage 5 engine. We've got new axles, new driveline, new gearbox in there, brand new all the way through, new brake systems on there with longer life, etc., cooling on there. And with that, there's a huge comfort, fuel benefit, time benefit. that is really going to help, you know, those customers out do more with less, but feel great at the same time. As you know, we can achieve, we can move from place to place quicker, more efficiently, you know, and that's building on technology that JCB introduced some years ago as well. Tour clock now is standard, so you can pull up the hill. You've got the 500 Newton meters torque in the engine, you know, so you've got that power. You've got the 6-speed transmission. You've got better axles. So we're looking forward to you coming in and operating one of those machines in a few weeks' time, because I tell you, it'll put smiles on your face.
Well, I tell you what, you don't put me next to a backhoe loader. Don't put me in the street ball. I'm going to fetch my friend Nick Drew, who knows what he's doing about to do that. I'll watch him parade around the ground and make us all look very jealous of his abilities. But Paul, I did touch upon it, and whether it's Paul or Julian on this one, I did touch upon this element of safety. And I know I pick these little things out, but for me, so simple. The step illuminates. It's got that lighting there to show you where the step is at night time. So, you know, when we're working in the winter, there's the step. How many times do we hear about operators getting on and off machines, slipping, falling, injuring themselves, and having life-changing injuries? But even if you're an owner-operator, even if you sprained your ankle or something like that, you know, your day's out of work, and that can't happen, you know, with your business. So lighting on this new range was really important. Again, another one of those slip trip things, putting the flashing light, can't remember what it's called now, putting the flashing light on the top.
I think the beacon is the word you're looking at.
Yeah, well, that's why you're here. Thank you very much. But putting the beacon on the top and taking it off and getting it stolen because you didn't take it off, they're now in the actual design. So again, you know, floodlights and all the rest of it. You know, so tell me, you know, this is really well thought out. This huge lighting package and just simple stuff to keep people safe, isn't it?
I mean, you talked about we got the auto interior lights. We've got as you open the door, the lights illuminate onto the step, and it's also got a time delay on there as well. So once you've closed the door and got out of the machine, you still got lights. You can also preset the work lights. So as you walk away from the machine, like on many cars, it still illuminates the area walking away from in the dark for extra safety. So we've gone into a lot of detail to think about these things. Of course, we got the upgrade to the LED options on the lights, work lights, and you've already spoken about the integrated flashing LED beacons in the corner of the roof. So really clever, smart thinking on those features there.
And the other thing sorry, Mark, you want to come in there?
No, go on, you carry on.
The other thing I like is, you know, we see a lot of these machines having to be left on site potentially. And the way you've integrated the radio within the design means that thieves aren't likely to smash up and see a radio they can nick from the backhoe loader. So we're talking about, you know, these simple features that, yeah, nice to integrate, but actually they're features that help people from trying to steal the machine. And then I don't know, Julian or Paul, whether it's in the backhoe loader, but the 7-inch touch screen, does that also let me see how to actually use the machine's features? Because there was mention today of tutorials that are already in the cab on the screen, so you actually know how these features work, which is, for me, is brilliant. Because, you know, if I'm walking into a new machine, I don't know what feature A, B, C, X, Y, Z is, you know.
That's right. So all of the range come with the Bluetooth radio standard. That, as you already mentioned, is fitted out of the way of the operator above the front and headline, and next to a little storage compartment as well. And all the controls for that are on the right hand side on a rotary dial, so you can if the phone rings, it links into your phone via Bluetooth, so you can see who's caller, the caller ID, and you can scroll through the radio and the music stations on the right hand side. And it also puts that information onto the 7-inch screen. Again, that's standard on all the range. You don't have to have the Pro to have that. It's on the Eco and the Plus as well. So all the full range of SiteMaster machines have all got all these features we just spoken about. And you know, the auto interior lights, the high vis access steps as well. and the automation features. They're standard on all on the full range. The key difference on the Pro is the gearbox.
And Julian, the how-to videos, I think are already programmed in, aren't they? You know, so you can get those.
Yes, they are. So there's a number of how-to videos, we call them, on YouTube, and we've actually planted those they're embedded in the 7-inch screen. So if you want to look at how to use a quick hitch and so forth, you can scroll through the menus, and it's got some color videos on the screen there.
That's interesting. For me, some of the things that I'm interested in is the attachments, because the hydraulic flow on the Pro is a Pro flow, well, I guess, but also you're seeing a lot of people now with tilt rotators on excavators, but I have seen people using, actually on a JCB, tilt rotators and other more what I'd call high-end attachments on the backhoe loader, and I guess that's something that the Pro is going to be able to be super good at, using these sort of more advanced attachments that need a lot more hydraulic power, for example. What's happening with that?
Yeah, just coming back down to the Backhoe, the Site Master. It is the one machine fleet. It's more of a tool carrier than any other construction machine out there, and it's typical for our customers to carry, 4 different buckets with them. In the shovel, the 6-in-1, and then often a tilt rotator or hammer, whatever. So you could be carrying 5 or 6 attachments to a job, and I think the skill of our operators to be able to provide that service on site and change between attachments and get the job done the range of attachments that are available for the Backhoe are almost endless as well. And we have a lot of customers now using more advanced attachments. You mentioned tilt rotators, even mowers onto backhoes. We feature in our video today just simple things like the dual bucket that have been around, but such a useful tool there to be able to, grab tree stumps out, move stuff around. Some scrap metal there, instead of manhandling it, you can just grab things and move stuff. It really is with the smoothness and the control of the hydraulics that we've got, a machine that can do all those jobs that, coming back into the health and safety, are often trying to be done by hand or trying to be done in a different way, and then can cause another injury there. But the Backhoe is still that tool that can turn up, get that done, and get it done safely. With the Pro and with the new range, we're really setting that up for the future as well.
That's cool. Mark, we've got some questions. I've been whittering on, and there's more important people out there that are asking questions. So go for it.
Far more sensible questions than either of us would ever come up with. So first one is from our resident backhoe loader expert, Ken Hatcher, who wants to know the service hours on oils, etc. Nick Drew, fellow member of the Construction Collective, would like to know if full air conditioning is fitted as standard or whether it's an option. And that one from Oliver Guns: have I missed the launch of the 8026 replacement? I don't know which one you'd like to take first, but gentlemen, over to you.
So we'll go with...
So you can hear me. So the air conditioning is standard on the Pro model. So that's to say the flagship top of the range. So that has a few extra features as standards, and the aircon is one of those.
Yeah. And the service hours on oils?
The service hours on the oils are unchanged from what it was previously, 500 hours. But with the engine, we have reduced service costs by removing the need to adjust the tappets and things at 2,000 hours. So that's all now done automatically.
Okay, and the final question there from Oliver is: have I missed the launch of the 8026 replacement? I'll leave one of you to answer that.
Good evening, everyone. I think I'll answer that one. So to answer the question from Ollie, I know Ollie, the 8026 is not being replaced today. We've launched 5 new models. The 3.5 ton, which we'll go into a bit more detail a bit later on, and the 4 to 6 ton. So the 8026 is continuing for the foreseeable future.
Okay, in that case, I have another question, and it's a bit more general, I guess. 45 product introductions would be pretty impressive at any time, but you've managed to pull this off in the middle of a pandemic when, by your own admission, some of your, I think all of your factories have been hit by enforced lockdowns. How the hell did you pull that off?
It's a great question, Mark. And sometimes, with all the challenges we've faced over the past 12 months, as a team here at JCB, we just wonder. But I think as a team, engineering, product, operations, purchasing, logistics, all the people that work here at JCB, we've pulled together to make it happen. We're together with our suppliers, and that's recovering. We haven't been able to fully work. Sometimes there have been shutdowns. We've had to do longer hours to pull things back, timing back, get test hours up and development. So there's been absolutely no shortcuts in there. But I think when we all think about it at these points in time when we launch these products, it's all like a wow, yes, we actually got that done during these tough times. So thanks for your compliment as well, because it's certainly been a tough time for us, and I think looking forward, it's great to have these stage 5 launches and these new products as we wanted under our belts, and then put them into our customers' hands this year, because certainly there's a fantastic opportunity to get infrastructure up to the what we need in the next 10 years to have that the growth in the countries.
And it's not just new products under your belt. As I think Peter's going to ask you, you've got some
Yes.
fairly significant orders under your belt as well.
Yes, absolutely, Mark. I mean, look, Paul and the team, I asked this question actually in the press launch earlier today. I actually interviewed Andy Wright, the CEO of Sunbelt Rentals. You can find that interview on my channels, folks. And that was because a small company called JCB had done a very big order for £65 million, record-breaking order, with a small company called Sunbelt, who's the biggest rental business in the UK. And basically, that deal is a record breaker. Now, when I was interviewing Andy, the biggest thing about that was Sunbelt Rental as a leading rental business, focusing on, yes, the customers and everything like that, but also focusing, again, I'll come right back to it, on fuel, on sustainability, on delivering better outcomes for customers, and all the things that go with that. And this is a huge order, guys. And what does it mean for the business? We've seen the ramp up so far, but what does this actually mean for JCB? This is massive, isn't it?
Yeah, it's fantastic, and it's Sunbelt Rentals are a fantastic organisation. They develop great value for their customers, and they've got fantastic vision as well, particularly on zero emissions, getting there, and they're a catalyst. And it's brilliant for JCB to be working with such an organisation. As you know, that order covered access platforms, it covered generators, it covered dumpers and telehandlers, and it just shows the scope of Sunbelt Rentals, what they offer to their customers, and also the scope of JCB. JCB, we're growing not just in lines of products as well. I think today's launch was quite fantastic. From industrial fork trucks to generators to backhoes, to which is for all of us here at JCB brilliant to be part of as well. But yeah, I think the customers placing orders with us is always what makes us exciting, and what we work for. It's ultimate testament to confidence in JCB and what we're doing, and certainly the areas that we've taken, such as live link telematics, road to zero. Companies like Sunbelt want to know that they're working with a provider, not can just provide the products of today, but also the products and solutions that they need in 5 years and 10 years and 15 years time. And that's all of the stuff, the road to zero, that's the telematics to keep, that's the safety angle, that's the long-term sustainability objectives, that's the communication, that's all of those things that go on to make those healthy customer relationships.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Paul. And I mean, Andy did stress the fact that they're using your LiveLink technology to help them look at the health of the machines, to help them look at where their utilization is, simple things as well from customers, from the nature of how those machines are being used, idle times, fuel consumption. It's all helps, and it all helps Sunbelt educate the customer as well. And it all helps the actual team that you're helping to train to look after these pieces of equipment as well, doesn't it? Brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think LiveLink, as you know, LiveLink's been with us for some time, and what the data streams we get from that, we really see an opportunity to help customers well. Even giving advice on how to use machines better. So if maybe they're using machines in an inefficient way, fuel wise or something, and we can give that update and that feedback back to customers, used in a different way, as well as all product information that we can understand real-time duty cycles and then develop products around that. And a lot of those that feedback, that information has gone into obviously developing the new SiteMaster range and making that more efficient every year, getting things more and more efficient because we understand more and more about what our customers need from the products. So giving them more for less.
Right, Mark, before we go, questions? Yeah.
We have had some more questions. We've got one on the screen there. What are the horsepower options across the 3CX and 4CX range? Julian, I'm guessing you'll be able to field that. And then we've also had a couple about security. Is there a GPS integrated tracker, or can one be fitted? Julian, have you got answers for both of those?
So I'll start with the power ratings. So if we're talking kilowatts on the 3CX Eco, that's 55 kilowatts, or in old money that was 74 horsepower. And then the rest of them are 81 kilowatts or 109 horsepower. The only exception to that is the 4CX Plus, which has a 72 kilowatts. But 55 kilowatts or 81 is the rest of them.
Okay, and GPS?
So GPS, well, we got the LiveLink, so that's using a transponder to get the satellite location. So all the machines, all the SiteMaster range, and most of the JCB's products have satellite tracking on them as well as standard.
I think that answers that question. Right, gentlemen, more specifically, Paul and Julian, I hope you can stick around just in case there are any more Backhoe loader questions, but we're about to switch our focus to mini excavators and to actually give Rob his moment in the spotlight as well. We're going to start with the 5-ton class -2 models. Before we get to talking about those, what say we take a look at those machines up close?
And we're back, I hope, Mark.
We are indeed. Yeah, all we're very, very quiet there, slightly worryingly. Rob, those are your babies. I'm going to ask you a question in a second, but first and foremost, seeing the term "follow me home" lights, I just got visions of being tracked down the road like being stalked by a mini excavator. But we'll come on to that. But obviously, these are you're very much your babies.
They are.
What is a -2 machine? What sets a -2 machine aside from a -1?
Right. So it's a good question. So -1 is all about new generation. So the first of the -1s was introduced in 2016. So that tended to be with the stage 3A or tier 4 final engine. So -2 is all about stage 5, moving on from when we launched the new generation 5 years ago. So we took the opportunity. We knew stage 5 was coming. We knew that the legislation meant that we had to change to a stage 5 engine. So at the same time, we packaged some extra features to make it better, not just emissions compliant, but also some extra features. So just listening patiently to what Paul and Julian have been saying, a lot of the philosophy is exactly the same on a mini excavator. It doesn't really matter what product we're talking about from JCB. It's all about looking after the operator. It's all about comfort, ease of use, safety, obviously a huge point. So yeah, the -2 includes a number of these performance and safety improvements.
Now, Rob, you've mentioned, and it's been mentioned a few times in the press conference, actually, designed with the customer for the customer. Now,
Absolutely.
These are phrases that people use, but tell me, give me some practical elements of this. So what has become in the design that was spoken to the customer about, and how have you done that?
So it all starts from concept stage, really. We tend to invite a lot of customers to the factory before we've even got working prototypes, and we say, what do you want? Simple open-ended question. What don't you like on machinery? It doesn't have to be our machine. It can be competitive machines as well. What do you like to see in the next generation? We then work with select customers. All our regional sales managers feed into what their regions are asking for, and then when we get to prototype stage and actually building working machines, we spread them around the world. So the 4 to 6 ton is obviously a European based because it's stage 5, but the 3.5 ton that's gone all over the world, and we've had customer evaluation machines where we've not just sort of done a demo for a couple of days, we've given it to them for months on end. So we can get really good feedback, long before COVID was even mentioned or heard of. We had machines out there working, so we can gather the feedback and modify as we go along.
And what do you think one of those standout modifications is on the new -2? Then in that case, Rob, what would you give us a good example of that for?
So one of the biggest things is obviously cost of ownership. It doesn't matter who you speak to, whether it's a big rental company who are never going to drive the machine themselves. We deal with a lot of customers that wear a shirt and tie. They don't drive diggers. That they just buy them and rent them out. Right down to your owner operator. It doesn't matter who you speak to. It's all about cost of ownership. So we've spent a lot of time focusing on fuel efficiency on the -2. It is a stage 5 engine, but there's more fuel saving features on that machine than any other brand out there. So it has the one touch idle, the programmable engine stop, the programmable auto idle, plus also it's a unique feature when you get in and out of the machine and you lift the pod up, it actually drops the RPM even further to below idle. So it will use around about 4 litres an hour of fuel. So it's really good for saving on fuel. So that's probably the highlight, if you like, of what people are asking for. And quite often you get rental customers. They say, "Well, I don't care about fuel because I'm not. It's not me that's filling it up every day." And my answer to that is, well, your customers do. And quite often you can speak to to certain big rental companies, and they will always say that same thing: is that, yeah, you're good point. Yeah, my customers come back to me and ask for a certain brand of machine because it's saving them money.
Yeah.
Less fuel, so it will save them money.
You can always, I mean, I've already mentioned it with Paul, but that's exactly what Andy Wright and the team at Sunbelt are absolutely focused on. Because if I can hire a machine from Sunbelt that is actually going to save me money in the fuel elements, and that's proven, and it's going to work because all machines do break down, so there are engineers there that are going to be able to fix that. And that's all I want as a customer. And the bottom line is the line that they look at and they go, oh, actually, that line of fuel is quite high. Why? And it's all this telemetry systems and live links. Some of the rental companies that you deal with have actually developed their own systems as well. We look at an interview I did with Ardent Hire Solutions. They developed a whole portfolio around all of the data and everything coming in from machines, and that's what their customers want. And they're telling their customers when to off-hire them. They're telling them you're not using it effectively enough, and they're even telling them, actually, what you need to do on that site is look at your fleet mix, for example.
Absolutely, yeah. Cost of ownership is probably the number one factor. And I say it's generic across all customer types as well.
Brilliant.
Yeah, the other big feature that's been on new generation machines, Dash 1 on the 4 to 6 ton as well as Dash 2, is the 500-hour greasing. And say we've had this feature for a number of years now, and a lot of people they still don't believe it even now, 6 years after we've launched it. A lot of competitive brands, it's daily greasing,
Right.
and it can take 15-20 minutes to grease the machine. So it's not the cost of the grease particularly, it's the time every day to grease the machine. And more importantly, and we all know that rental is a big market for this, we all know that nobody greases machines. So it's not the cost of greasing, it's the cost of not greasing. And so having 500 hours when your service intervals are 500 hours as well, you're saying to the rental company, you don't need to tell your customers to grease machines. Yeah. And it's a great feature, right from our smallest machines, our 1.5 ton machines, up to our 10 ton. They're all 500-hour greasing now. And I say in the new 4 to 6 ton, it's a great feature, and it's every single pivot point, even the bucket linkage, even the undercarriage. It's a really nice feature.
It's those little things. We all know that you're hiring a machine for a couple of days. You're not going to grease it. You're not going to do it. You're just going to drive it off there, drive it back, and hope that nobody bangs it on the way.
Exactly.
Backwards. And if they do, all hell breaks loose. But you really do know that if that machine goes down because of one of those sort of issues, that you're going to be on the phone. That's time, that's other things being put down. We know a machine does the work of the day. And if that day everybody's going to lay pipe, or they're going to dig trenches for other things, or they're going to grade, or whatever they're going to do, if that can't be done, so can nothing else. And right. The real add-ups, and that's where that sustainability thing flows through, because yes, we're saving all this, that, and the other, but if it's not working, we're literally costing the earth, as they say.
Absolutely, yeah. And there's other features like the machine health checks, which again is just suited to the rental market, because we all know that people aren't going to be doing daily checks. I mean, how often do you look at your dipstick on your car? People just don't do it, even when it's your own, let alone when you're renting something. So if you've got low fuel, low oil, hydraulic oil, the machine won't even start in the morning. So it's making things foolproof for you, because we all know that things like daily checks in plant hire, just won't happen.
No.
We've touched on the in-cab display as well on the Backhoe loaders, but that carries over to the minis as well. You've got a new 7-inch color screen.
That's right.
It can be pre-programmed with up to 10 attachments. That really reflects on, how modern excavators are used. They are basically a tool carrier these days, aren't they?
Exactly what Paul was saying about the Backhoe loader. Mini excavators really are a versatile machine. They're called mini diggers, but they are so much more than a digger. And quite often you'll speak to customers, and digging is only 10, 20, 30% of the operation. And there's more and more attachments becoming available. We have high and low flow circuits on there. So you can power various range of attachments, and having the ability to program in these attachments means that you can change them very easily. And again, it's all about ease of use, making it easy to use a variety of different attachments.
Yeah, it's an interesting point. I mean, it's one that I'm sure Peter was going to make the point, because I saw him move towards the microphone. Then all this ease of use. I mean, a lot of it comes back to this ongoing skill shortage. If you can make those machines operator friendly, you can get operators on machines a whole lot easier than having to train them up on something highly complex.
That's right. I mean, that's probably the number one reason why mini excavators have become so popular over the years is because they are so easy. But we just need to go that extra step every time we launch a new model. Just make it that little bit easier. And like I say, having programmable attachments is just one extra nice, easy thing to do. So you don't need to mess around with the flow settings, because every different attachment will want different flows. So you can just the screen is incredibly easy, and we used, dare I say, the iPhone as a good example. How many people look at the instructions? There isn't even instructions with it. And I always say, if you need to refer to the operator's handbook, then we've failed.
Yeah.
We should be able to jump in a machine and use that rotary dial and use the screen without any teaching, nobody standing over you telling you what to do, no referring to the manual, just get on and use it. And it really is that simple. So anybody can jump into that machine and program and customize it to exactly how you want.
And that really brings it back for me to, there's one thing that struck me. I put the cap on.
Hey, like it.
The one thing that really does struck me about technology and advancements in things, Rob, was actually how more things are put into the cab. And we call it cab clutter. I call it cab clutter. And in the press conference, what thing that stood out, because I made a note of it, was the fact that you've put a rear camera in the machine, which I think is essential for modern day usage. Tight sites, getting even tighter all the time, all these different attachments that you got to do. We actually really need to make sure we've got visibility and make sure that people plant interface is sorted out. But that's integrated with the 7-inch touchscreen, isn't it? And that's really important, as is this to-go function, which I have no idea what that is, Rob. So hopefully you're going to tell me.
Right. Okay. So to-go was a feature we introduced a few years back. So it was feedback from a number of customers actually in the UK. So when you turn the engine on, in theory, the controls are live on certainly our old generation machines and all competitors' machines today. With a mini excavator, the tendency is to jump on and off machines on a regular basis. You're quite often talking to banksmen, and quite often they don't necessarily know that the engine's running, but they don't necessarily know that the controls are live. So we introduced a system called To Go, which is an extra button you have to press to make the hydraulics live. So when you turn the engine on to start with, you could be accidentally, not even knowing, be touching one of the controls.
Yeah.
And say you turn the engine and all of a sudden the machine's moving and you don't know why, and you realize your coat is leaning on one of the levers. So our to-go system is a really good way to say, I'm ready to work. I'm sitting comfortably. My coat isn't resting on a lever. I'm not treading on a pedal by accident, and I can then press a button to say I'm ready to go, and then the hydraulics are then live. So it's a feature that, say, not everybody likes. It's a really good health and safety feature. But if people don't like it, you can switch that feature off, the dealer selectable. And we do have customers that say, I appreciate it, it's a really great feature, but we don't want it. Fine, turn it off. But to me, it's a health and safety thing, and every machine will leave the factory with that activated, because it's a unique safety feature that we do like.
And I think the other thing I like about it is you've got, you know, for those people that have put on a little bit of weight over this pandemic period, me included, Rob, you've got those bolt-on grab handles. So if I need to lift myself up onto the normally I've just literally sprightly jumped, or stepped eloquently onto the machine. But those are good optional features. But the other thing I just wanted to ask you about is, you know, this sort of health check, you know, because you mentioned there again, these are big rental company products that are out there. You know, you're turning it on and machine is doing a health check. What does it actually tell me, Rob, when it's doing a health check?
So it runs through a series of things like fuel, oil, air filter blocked,
Right.
just your usual daily check. So on the 5 ton, there's 6 daily checks that you'd normally have, and so it just runs through as soon as it's the first key on of the day, and so it will check your fuel level, any water in the fuel. And then it will just if there's anything that's wrong with that during that check, then I say that the engine won't start, and it will tell you on the display exactly what's wrong. So it removes the need, because we know that people don't necessarily check if there's water in the fuel, if there's a low level of fuel, hydraulic oil, engine oil. So it's all those daily checks that people don't do.
Absolutely. Now, there was a question came up on the screen now, but I think we can answer it without actually going on to the question. In typical JCB style, the company had another ace up its sleeve during its press launch. In addition to unveiling 3 new Dash 2 models, the company also introduced 2 new Dash 1 models. Let's take a look, and then we'll get to the specifics in just a second.
They've got that long end sliding.
We're back.
Let's have a look. Yeah, that's better. Rob, where do these fit into the JCB range? And I guess more specifically, why Dash 1 when you're already at Dash 2 on the larger machine?
It's about 5 minutes before the actual press conference this afternoon. The Dash 1 implies that it's an older generation model. It couldn't be further from the truth. It's all about what I termed before as new generation to JCB. So back in 2014, we changed the nomenclature to show that the JCB mini excavator range had changed. So everything used to start with an 8 and a 0, and then it would be the two numbers that represented its weight. When we introduced the 8-ton back in 2014, we dropped the 8 and the 0, and we called it the 85Z-1 and 86C-1. So we're calling this the 35Z-1, plain and simply because it's the first 3.5-ton new generation machine. And what we describe as new generation is the style, the look and the feel of the machine. So we've gone for 100% steel bodywork, and that's a feature of all our new generation machines. So they all look the same. Say steel bodywork, they've all got the 500-hour greasing, they've all got the high and the low flow auxiliaries, the programmable auxiliary flows. And so we decided to call it the -1 because it is such a step change from the old 8035, which the machine replaces. It just, when we're launching the 5 machines together, the question came up: well, why are we introducing the -1? Is that an older machine? And it's the complete opposite. It's actually more of a new machine than the 4 to 6 ton, because it's all about where it's come from.
Okay, well, there's the question come back from Oliver Guns there. Take us through the spec options on the 35 and 36. Obviously, the video there hinted at it, but can you take us through a bit more than that?
Yeah, so starting off with the cab, there's obviously cab with heat, there's cab with AC, and there's even a canopy build. Not so popular in the UK, but obviously this machine has got a global engine. We do sell around the world, so a canopy spec is actually quite popular in other markets. We do rubber and steel tracks, so we do high and low flow auxiliaries. What else is there? We even do a 4-way dozer blade, which we've never offered before on this size of machine. A hydraulic thumb, which again we've never offered before from the factory. This is a 100% designed and manufactured hydraulic thumb that we've introduced with this model. We see this. I mean, it's a huge market in North America, hydraulic thumbs, and we've had thumb ready machines for a number of years now. But this is the first time we've actually offered a hydraulic thumb, and we believe that introducing that to the European market, especially, will really gain some traction. Because it's a really useful attachment to have, and the beauty of our design is that you can have it permanently fitted and still use other attachments. So there's a changeover valve on the dipper, so when you're not using it and say you want to use a hydraulic breaker, you don't need to take off that thumb. It just sits flush on the inside of the dipper, and you don't need to plug in a different set of hydraulic lines. It's already plumbed in permanently, and then you've got some spare couplers actually on the dipper for plugging into a hydraulic breaker. So that's a really good option. We've got plenty of other attachments. We've got a brand new bucket range. We have changed our bucket range sizing deliberately to match what the competition offer. Again, mixed fleets. We're thinking about rental. You always buy some buckets with a machine, but you haven't necessarily got the same bucket with the same machine 12 months down the road. So in a big rental yard, you pick a machine and you want to pick 3 buckets. So if we're the same pickup dimension wise as all the other major brands, then you can mix and match much easier. So that was another big change. Trying to think of any more features.
Well, just while you're thinking that through, Rob, we've had another question come in there. You mentioned the 500-hour service intervals there. Is that using graphite impregnated brass bushes? Try saying that after you've had a few pints.
It certainly is, yeah. So traditional bushes are brass. So these are graphite impregnated. So they're spotted when you look at them. I think traditionally that there's been a bit of fear about over greasing. So I think that there has been certain brands where if you do over grease a graphite impregnated bush, it actually washes the graphite away. So our bushes do not have that issue at all. If you want to grease the machine daily, you'll be a fool to do it. But if you do, then it won't have any detrimental effect to the bush. But yeah, to answer the question, it is a graphite impregnated bush.
And you answer one question, it immediately raises another. Do you need a special grease for those?
Absolutely not. This is the most common question you get. No, you don't. You don't need special grease.
You know, there are times when I don't even know why Peter and I do this show. We should just get Ken to sit here, and I'll go off and do something way more interesting.
Mark, I just wanted to bring up a comment from Tom Ball, who I know quite well. He'd say, "Be nice to take out the track pedals out." Yeah, that's the one, Mark. You know, Rob, can you just talk to us about that, if you would? Because obviously you've talked about the changes that you've made to the global machines, but that's obviously something that is a question that would have other people asking that one as well.
Yeah, it comes up from time to time. What we need to consider when we're designing a machine is the type of customer. And with a mini excavator, you could have very experienced people who are absolutely very good operators, and the other extreme where they've just got their operator's license, and you have to cater for both people. There's certain, spent some time in Scandinavia over the years, and they're on a different level when it comes to, you know, what they want. They would have everything on the joystick, and a good operator will always say that everything on the joystick. But the reality is, and I've seen this with my own eyes, especially when you've got likes of people that are loading machines on and off a trailer, so they're not actual operators, but they're the delivery driver dropping the machine off. The tendency is to, well, you have that seesaw point when you drive it up and down the trailer. The tendency is to panic when you get to that top point, and I've seen delivery drivers do it many a time. It's always better to have separate controls for separate functions. So as much as we could have, you know, everything on a joystick, the technology's there already. We still believe that having track pedals and having two tracking levers is a better solution, because it's not it's simple, and we need to think about health and safety as much as anything.
Good points. Yeah.
Safety. We've just touched on safety with that as a comment about the track pedals and that kind of thing. Obviously, safety is a big feature. We've got a new ROPS FOPS cab, and we've already touched on the JCB to go system as well. Again, safety very much to the fore on this one, Rob.
Yeah, so we touched on the to go. We also spoke about the follow me home lights, which you think.
Yeah, I'm looking behind me now, actually. Yeah.
so yeah, it's the same as what we've done on the Backhoes. You can program the time before the lights go off, and it's a simple feature, but it's actually, we've had some really good feedback already from customers that, you know, something that doesn't cost us anything, that you can just program it into the software, and it's a really nice feature. There's a lot of times that you are locking up on site, and you're not necessarily on a well-lit site at night, and just having a few second delay to be able to walk back to the car in light is a really nice feature.
It's an interesting one, actually. One of our regular contributors, Nigel Williams, actually says one of the key parts of his kit is I think he bought a miner's torch for his hat, for his hard hat. Which I think he bought his from Argos or something like that. But it's a key part of his kit because, you know, particularly in the winter, you finish work at whatever time, it's dark out, and you've got to find your way back to your car. Exactly. It is a key consideration again.
Yeah. The other big safety feature that I'd like to mention is the lift overload system. So legally, if you have hose burst check valves, if you're lifting above 1 ton, which all these size machines do, you have to have hose burst check valves on the machine, and you have to have a audio warning. What other manufacturers do, and what we've done in the past, is literally just have a buzzer to let you know that that the machine is going to tip over. So it's ticking the box in terms of legislation, but it's not really got health and safety in mind. So we've spent quite a few years now developing a system on a mini excavator. To, if you're familiar with the Lodal, which most people are, it has like a traffic light system. So it doesn't just say you're going to tip over, it gives you a lot of warning. They've actually gone one step further in recent years to actually stop the hydraulics, to stop you from tipping over. But the principle's there, that it's graduated. It's letting you know that you're getting more and more towards your tipping point. And so on mini excavators, they are by their very nature a small machine. To have a buzzer to let you know that you've just tipped over is no good to anyone. So we've introduced a similar thing to the Lodal to have a graduated traffic light system on the machine itself. So as and when you are doing lifting and placing, and these machines are used a lot for lifting, then it actually lets you know that you're getting towards the limit. Which say it's a unique feature that we've got on our 3.5 and our 4 to 6 ton range to let you know the working range and safety.
Yeah, that's really important, guys. Listen, I think we're getting towards the end of that road to zero. We've had nearly an hour and 12 minutes to get to zero, Mark. So what I think I'd like to do, Mark, if you don't mind, is one last sort of throwaway remark I found from the actual press conference was from Tim, and he confirmed that the stage 5 diesel engines actually could run effectively on HVO, which is the new sort of buzz thing in the industry with the whole issue of red diesel. So hydrotreated vegetable oil. I looked it up in the dictionary as to what they said that this is, Mark, the other day. I'm going to read this to you. It said,
Yeah. I'm glad we chose you for this job.
Iron-based liquid fuel originated from many kinds of vegetable oils, such as rapeseed, sunflower, soybean, and palm oil, as well as animal fats. You can tell it's been a long day, Mark. Can't even say the word. That's why I do this without reading stuff normally. So remind me never to do that ever again. But the most important thing is this is becoming a big, big deal when we talk about sustainability. We talk about emissions. We talk about one of my favorite quotes that I always try and shove into a show, Mark, is one from Chris Matthew at Flannery. And it is well to track. What is the carbon impact, well to track, of this fuel that we're using, actually, of all of the things that we're doing? So the fuel that we're using in there, the fuel that the Bowser's using to get there, the fuel that people are using in their cars to get to site, all of that sort of stuff. So a HVO piece is really important, that people know that these products can use that as a new alternative. And like I say, tomorrow I'm talking about another thing called Green D Plus, which is actually another step on from a standard HVO, which again reduces carbon even more. So this road to zero is going to be a road to zero with HVO and then hydrogen and then electric and everything else. But it's really important to recognize that fact. I don't know if anybody can just make a final point on that.
Absolutely. I mean, I think certainly a lot of our customers now are using HVO. The most important, as we covered, you've got to have efficient machines to start with. I mean, that's really important. That whatever fuel you're using, and in the future, hydrogen or electric, you've got to have that efficiency built into the machine from the onset, which is fundamental in all the JCB machines. And then yes, all of our stage 5 engines, our 3 litre, 4.8 litre, the compact engines are all HVO compatible. So it's a big part of our road to zero.
As Alexander has just put up on the screen there, you can also use the oil from pine trees, which I'm sure would make your machine smell absolutely marvellous.
Yeah.
I think, Mark, as well, it's worth noting that this week, or is it end of last week, can't remember, Skanska, one of the big tier 1 contractors, said HVO. Want our suppliers to use HVO. Those are the people that are building the massive infrastructure projects. Those are the people that are giving out contracts. Those are the people that the big rental companies and contractors are going to have to work for. Those are the changing rules, Mark. And so HVO is not going to go away. What is going to go away is me reading out from the dictionary about what it means, because that's never going to happen.
No, I mean, I do think, as with all these things, you know, be it quick couplers and safety systems and all that kind of thing, all of these things are only ever a pull. Then they're not a push. It's no good a rental company trying to take the lead on HVO. It needs a major contractor or all the major contractors to say that's the way forward, and that is what will become. Gentlemen, as Peter rightly pointed out, we've taken up way more of your time than we intended to. We're an hour and a quarter in, and it is a school day. So I'm going to let you all go. I think we've run through all of the questions. I can tell you that Kenneth Hatcher is off to have his beans on toast. Not sure why he's telling us that, but it's good to know. But gentlemen, unless there's anything else you'd like to add, I think we can probably wrap this one up. Is there anything else anyone would like to add?
Just a special thanks, Mark, thanks, Peter. It's a great day.
Yeah,
fantastic. Well, guys, as always, congratulations on a great launch. Good luck with the new machines. Fantastic to see it still going on in the midst of a pandemic. And until next time, which hopefully will be face to face, which will not require Peter to read anything. Then we will see you very, very soon.
Okay.
Thanks very much, guys.
Thanks for the invite. Thank you.
No worries. Right. One by one, remove the good folks from JCB, and Peter, it's just us. Yeah, it's just us now.
Very good. Yeah. Well, what a great show. Look, I really appreciate the guys taking out all of that time to talk to us. You know, there is a lot to talk about. Actually, Mark, I think we talked longer than the actual press conference went on today.
We did.
That's crazy. But there's so much to it, isn't there? You know, that we wanted to get down and find out these more details. And it happens because of people like Ken, Alexander, Tom, etc., and Oliver, you know, who joined us. No, massive JCB fan as well. You know, it's really important, isn't it?
Now, just one quick thing, and I'm going to try this. Julian has just popped back into the stream. Julian, have you come back for a reason?
No. I went off. I thought I'd come back in and see what else was happening.
Oh no! Is it when we talk about you? You think you're not supposed to listen to this bit?
That's fine.
No, we're just going to wrap it up. But I mean, I'll leave you in the green room, and you go and have a cup of coffee. You more than deserved it.
No
yeah, Peter, the one thing that we didn't touch on, which again was part of the final wrap up of the press conference, was that JCB confirmed that they are not planning to go to Bauma next year, which on the basis that Volvo have already said much the same thing. I don't suppose for one moment that anyone in Bauma is planning to cancel on the back of those two, but that's another blow, isn't it?
Yeah, look, Mark, I am a massive, and you are a massive fan of shows. You mentioned earlier about the next time we see JCB, it'd be nice to see them in the flesh. These are pieces of equipment that move. You can only understand how a joystick or not, in whatever case the machine is, how that helps you operate a machine. You've got to have shows, Mark. So you've got to have people that can actually explain things, that can bring and demonstrate in real world applications how machines work. You know, we all know that you can set up an area and you can do a video and things like that. Just shows are that important. Look, Bauma's going to be super important for me. I'm going. I'm dragging you, whether you like it or not, and Nick Drew all the way out, and your son Fred, because he's got to film the entire place. But again, like we said with Con Expo, you know, for the people that can't go to these shows, we're going, and we're going to be doing things like this so that you can ask us to ask the questions, and therefore we can get you the answers live or at an event where the experts are there. And this is why shows are important. we can grab and get hold of all the leading experts, all the critical equipment for the marketplace in the UK and for our listeners and readers around Europe and the world. We can help do that by being there at shows. We need shows to be successful because of that. But equally, we can also put together opportunities in the future. And that's what I know you're really passionate about, and I'm passionate about, and Nick is passionate about at the Construction Collective. We can put events together that bring technologies in, with other players and other partners and people that want to work with us, because we've got to keep this industry moving, talking, working together, so that we can have this wonderful new products being bought by people at the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, that was certainly something that came out there. It's all very well launching these new machines, but you need people like, as you mentioned, your Flannerys and your Sunbelts to actually part with the cash to put them in their fleets. That's where the real secret of the industry lies, isn't it? And I was talking to Paul before we came on air about the need for. I'm a firm believer that video is the way forward. I love video and everything else, but there's no substitute for actually touching and stroking a machine. You really get much more of a feel. So, as soon as we can get a show back, even if the Baumer one will now be without JCB, the sooner the better, I would say.
Absolutely, 100%, Mark. And it's up to us to also try and fill that gap the best we possibly can. And actually to help and support the people that are listening to this show and that listen and interact with us on all our social media channels.
Absolutely. Well, just on that basis, this one, I'll be downloading this one over night. It's already on Facebook, it's already on YouTube, but it'll be on Instagram TV tomorrow. You can go over to jcb.com and find out more about all the machines that they've discussed tonight. And failing that, you can tune into my live show tomorrow at 10 a.m. when I'll be recapping some of this very, very quickly. Certainly not for an hour and 22 minutes. We'll be recapping that very quickly. And just to let you know, keep a space in your diary for 6 o'clock on Thursday night, when myself and Mr. Haddock will be back again on a top secret mission.
Da, da, da.
We need a jingle for that, don't we? Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, 6 o'clock on Thursday. So be back then. Be back soon. And in the meantime, I'm going to love you all and leave you, because I can hear my stomach rumbling, and it's only a matter of time before the microphone picks it up. Peter, it's been a pleasure as always. Thanks for all your help. Thanks for all your input. And I'll see you again. I'll speak to you tomorrow, but I'll see you again on Thursday.
Bye.
And thanks everyone for taking part. All the best.
Oh.